The basement door. It was a cold winter night in Ohio, USA. Heavy snow covered the streets, and the wind howled outside like a crying spirit. In a small, lonely town, there stood an old, abandoned house at the end of Maple Street. People believed the house was cursed. For almost 30 years, nobody lived there. Neighbors said strange lights appeared in the windows at midnight. Some people even claimed they heard children laughing from inside the empty house, but nobody dared to enter. One evening, a college student named Ethan accepted a challenge from his friends. They promised him $500 if he could spend one entire night inside the haunted house. Ethan laughed at the stories. "Ghosts aren't real," he said confidently. At exactly 11:45 p.m., he entered the house carrying only a flashlight and a camera. The front door opened slowly with a loud creak. Inside, the air smelled rotten. Dust covered the furniture, and old family photographs hung crooked on the walls. Everything was silent. Too silent. Ethan started recording a video. "See, nothing scary here," he choked. But suddenly, bang, a door slammed somewhere upstairs. Ethan froze. He told himself it was just the wind. Slowly, he walked toward the staircase. Every step made a cracking sound beneath his feet. As he reached the second floor, he noticed something strange. Fresh footprints. Wet footprints, as if someone had just walked there moments ago. Ethan's heartbeat became faster. He followed the footprints down the hallway until they stopped in front of a small bedroom. The door was slightly open. Inside the room stood an old rocking chair, moving slowly by itself. Creak, creak. Ethan tried to stay calm. Then he heard a tiny whisper behind him. "Don't look downstairs." He turned around quickly. Nobody was there. Suddenly, his flashlight flickered. The house became dark for a second, and in that second, he saw a pale woman standing at the end of the hallway. Her face was twisted, her eyes were completely black, and she was smiling. Ethan screamed and ran downstairs. His breathing became wild as he searched for the exit door, but the front door wouldn't open. Then he heard another sound. Knock, 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 coming from beneath the floor, the basement. Ethan remembered the whisper, "Don't look downstairs." But curiosity pulled him closer. The basement door was old and covered in chains. Slowly, he opened it. The smell that came out was unbearable. Rotten flesh, death. He pointed the flashlight down the stairs. At first, he saw nothing. Then, he noticed dozens of people standing silently in the darkness. Their skin was pale, their eyes were empty, and every single one of them was staring directly at him. Ethan tried to run, but one of the creatures suddenly whispered, "You stayed too long." The basement lights turned on by themselves, and Ethan finally saw the horrifying truth. The people were not ghosts. They were missing people from the town, still alive. Their mouths were sewn shut, their bodies chained to the walls, and in the center of the basement stood the pale woman smiling while holding a bloody knife. The camera Ethan carried was later found outside the house buried in snow. Police watched the final recording. The last thing visible on the camera was Ethan screaming while shadowy figures dragged him into the darkness. But the most terrifying part came at the end. As the video stopped, a woman's voice whispered clearly, "There's room for one more." After that night, the house disappeared from official town maps, but locals still say during snowstorms, if you walk near Maple Street after midnight, you can hear knocking sounds coming from underground, and sometimes a young man's voice begging for help.